Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the Bitcoin price action and how it is rocketed up all the way past the previous resistance levels of about 35,000. And we're also going to be talking about one Michael Saylor, who also seems to be buying up all the Bitcoin in sight. And I'm also going to give my thoughts on the FOMC. But before we get to that, be sure to subscribe, be sure to hit that like button, and be sure to follow me on X. Bitcoin is up to 35,500 in a surprising rally today after the FOMC meeting. Okay, the Fed basically decided to hold the rates in place, just like I previously thought they were going to do. And on top of that, it sounds like Jerome Powell was a little dovish as well. So we had equities rally on the back of that news. We had Bitcoin rally on the back of that news as well, okay? And we pushed above that 35K resistance region that we've been talking about for the past couple of videos. Now we're over here at about 35,500 and still very overbought. I mean, we're at 84, almost 85 on the daily RSI. So this, just to put this into perspective, we're at almost 13 days of being overbought in the Bitcoin daily RSI, okay? So we've just had just an amazing amount of strength in the last 2 weeks. And what we're starting to see right now is that there are players who are coming into the space who are buying and buying heavily, such as one Michael Saylor, who recently announced that they purchased, MicroStrategy has purchased 155 Bitcoin for 5.3 million and now holds 158,000 Bitcoin, okay? So, someone please tell Michael Saylor to save some of the Bitcoin for the rest of us. Otherwise, they're going to wind up holding all of it. Of course, I joke, I kid, but the simple fact is that Michael Saylor has been a consistent buyer of Bitcoin for some time now, ever since they decided to start buying back in 2020. And we can start to see that over the past 2 weeks, we've had these massive volume candles here in which you see not only Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin, but also retail users and institutional investors also very interested in Bitcoin through the futures, like the CME futures. So we're starting to see huge demand continue for Bitcoin, all right? And this demand and this price action has been fueled by, if you take a look at our futures, Bitcoin futures index here, we can see that this price action has been fueled, much like the previous couple of bumps, by a large number of short liquidations. We're starting to see huge amounts of short liquidations here at the bottom. All these red ones are short liquidations. These shorts have been getting blown up for the past 2 weeks. They've been getting destroyed. If we zoom out here, we can see just how large we've had of liquidations in these areas here, and longs still remain very dominant in the futures index. So traders right now, very bullish. I'll say it again, very bullish. Traders are betting that Bitcoin is going to continue its move even higher. So if we take a look at our new liquidation heat maps, what we're seeing here is that all the liquidity above these regions is basically gone. So Bitcoin, when it shot all the way up to 35,500, which is where it is right now, we've seen it take out a huge number of these supports, of these shorts, and the liquidity basically is gone at this point. Now, I'm sure new shorts are going to show up, right? Because, again, as I said previously, that there have been 2 weeks of non-stop buying in the Bitcoin price, and shorts are going to get very excited about that, and they're going to enter in their position at 35,500 and bet that Bitcoin's going down. But what we're seeing right now is that there's just not a lot of liquidity higher than these levels, okay? Maybe 35,800, that's the only liquidity level I've seen above this area that's significant, but below it, of course, you have a large amount here at about 35,000, about 34,992, okay? And then below that, all the way over here to about 39,000, or 33,900, okay? So just about a little bit lower than that. But those are the primary liquidation levels that we're looking at right now for longs, okay? Those are long liquidation levels. Shorts have gotten destroyed. There's not much short liquidation left in the market, though I'm sure this will change and we'll start to see more enter into the equation of the market at a later date. So, as I've said before, I actually posted earlier on Twitter basically that Bitcoin is knocking on the door of 35K resistance, okay? The only way it breaks to this level is if Jerome Powell sounds dovish at the FOMC and equities rally, okay? Otherwise, we're due for a healthy pullback. And that's basically exactly what we got today. We got Jerome Powell sounding dovish and equities rallying, Bitcoin pushing through that level. Now, that being said, I still expect this pullback is going to happen. It's going to be a healthy pullback. Bitcoin needs to pull back. There's no way it's going to be able to stay overbought forever, okay? In fact, if we go ahead and just take a look real quick here at our previous highs on our RSI for our daily, we can see that the largest period of time that Bitcoin has been overbought here was back in January. And in January, I was saying the exact same thing. I was saying, listen, Bitcoin cannot remain overbought for very long. And in this case, it went all the way here from about the 11th of January all the way to about the 29th of January. So about 3 weeks or so, it was overbought. So, I mean, it's entirely possible we could see Bitcoin stay overbought for about 3 weeks total, which would mean probably about another week. And then we see the pullback in the Bitcoin price after that point. Okay, and again, a healthy pullback. This is what I am expecting. This is going to be just fine. I have not been adding my position. Like I said, I've bought down here 25, 26, 27, and I've been very patient with my Bitcoin position, okay? Now, I want to go back to the Fed meeting, okay? So the Fed decided not to raise rates, and if we take a look at the CME group and we look at the probabilities for the next meeting on the 13th of December, what we're seeing here is that there's a 77% chance of, again, no rate hike, okay? And then there's a 22% chance of there being one final rate hike, okay? Now, if it remains where it is currently, very bullish for Bitcoin. If they don't raise rates, very bullish for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin hates this environment in which the Fed keeps raising rates, the dollar gets stronger, and people look for alternate assets to invest in that aren't commodities or properties. They're basically looking to either just stay in cash or treasuries. Bitcoin is not like that type of environment. So again, I think this is bullish for Bitcoin in the long term, because I don't expect the Fed's going to raise rates again. In fact, if we take a look at the trueflation numbers for inflation, which is what the Fed has been fighting, right? We can see here at about 2.4%, okay? Year-on-year change. That's in the Fed's target range of about 2%. So there's no reason for them to be raising rates. And again, I expect that they're not going to raise rates. Okay, so let's talk about some more Bitcoin metrics. So if we go back here and take a look at our Bitcoin exchange reserve, which is the number of Bitcoins on the exchanges, what we're seeing here right now is an increase in the number of Bitcoin on the exchanges from the 18th of October all the way until about now. So we're starting to see a little bit of increase in that. We are starting to see a little bit of selling as Bitcoin approaches 35K, 34K, 33K, we're starting to see a bit more selling. Now, the sellers that are selling are actually selling in profit. So if we look at our spent output profit ratio, a simple moving average of that, otherwise it gets kind of messy like this. If we just look at a simple moving average, what we're seeing here is that Bitcoin has been firmly in profit ever since about the 1st or so of October. So the sellers that are selling right now are selling profitably, okay? And this is a good thing. This is a bullish thing, because sellers that don't sell profitably, they can panic. They can go look at their, the traders look at their wallets at the end of the day, realize that they're down, and then panic sell in order to prevent themselves from losing more money, okay? But that being said, we'll have to see how this trend actually plays out over time. We're actually at about almost the highest level we've seen since May when it comes to the SOPR level. This is very bullish. Again, I will be monitoring this and letting you guys know my feelings on the matter. And then also, I want to go ahead and take a look at the miners reserve. So miners reserve, the number of miners, the number of Bitcoins in miners' wallets has been increasing. So those sellers that I talked about earlier, they're largely not miners. Most likely, they're traders who bought Bitcoin at 26, 27, 28, and they sold it at 34, 35, and they're actually in profit. And now the miners themselves seem to be waiting. Okay, we've seen them kind of come up here a little bit. Now they're coming back down. Miners, but for the most part, they're up from where they were a month ago. They're increasing their hodling of Bitcoins, all right? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is zooming out to the monthly picture and where Bitcoin is currently. So if we take a look at our October gains for the month for Bitcoin, 28.5%, all right? Very nice for October. Now, a couple months ago, we talked about seasonally weak periods for Bitcoin, and that was usually sometime in July, August, and September. Those are normally the bearish kind of months for Bitcoin. And then we get to October, and October is beautiful, and it's green, okay? And then we get to November, and November can be kind of hit or miss. But it does tend to be more bullish than not, especially if October is green and strongly green. So we'll have to take a look at where this ends up for the month, but I am predicting, I do think that Bitcoin will wind up having a very strong November. Not financial advice, do your own research. This is just education and my own speculation. But from what I've seen, I think we're going to wind up getting a nice little year-end rally, November and December, or at least through November. We'll talk about December in a later video, okay? So that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys want to see about Bitcoin. If you want me to talk about a specific story or cover something, I definitely will. Leave a comment below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.